Hello everyone and welcome to Simply Made Homestead. Well, here in Florida it is potato time. We planted ours just a few days ago and it takes a little while for them to come up, about 7 to 14 days, so we haven't seen anything yet, but I keep looking every day, walking the garden. But thinking potatoes, it got me thinking about eating potatoes because we planted 15 pounds of potatoes. We want to be able to help our family as well and provide food for them. So we have a lot of potatoes planted. And one of my family's favorite potato dishes is garlic rosemary potatoes. So today I had to buy my potatoes, but I have some red potatoes, new potatoes, Irish potatoes, whatever you call them. That's what we're going to make our potatoes with today. And to me, it does make a difference. It's like making mashed potatoes. I like Yukon Gold. I like to clean them and cook them, the skin and all. You have little bits of skin in there. Oh my goodness, potato salads, the same thing. I like that too. But for the garlic rosemary potatoes, these potatoes are a little firmer than a soft butterball or a Yukon Gold potato. So I really like using them because they really hold their shape. They get nice and soft. Those yummy red skins, they're just roasted right up in the oven. They are delicious. Now I have about 2 pounds of potatoes here. I'm gonna dry them off a little bit. I took my little scrub brush, just a little brush like this, and I scrub my potatoes. Now, like I said, these were store-bought potatoes, but they look pretty good. So I'm just gonna dry them off a little bit because you really don't want water when you're roasting, even like with meats, if you're searing meats or you're putting them under the broiler and you want to get that nice sear on it or that nice roasted little places on your potatoes or your squash or whatever it is, your broccolis that you're putting in the oven, you really want them to be dry. So I've scrubbed them off really good with some nice cool water, let them sit to drain, and now I just patted them dry. All right, so what I have here, these are the ingredients. If you want to make a little note here, we have 2 pounds of red potatoes, new potatoes, Irish potatoes, whatever you call them, the red potatoes. We have 3 large garlics, about 2 tablespoons of rosemary. I love rosemary. My husband, he likes it okay. So this is kind of a middle of the road for us. So depending on you and how you and your family like rosemary, you may like just a hint of rosemary. So you could just put, a smaller amount of rosemary in the dish. If you love rosemary, I would probably add another tablespoon if it were just me and my son Adam, because he loves these potatoes too. But for today, since Honeydew is going to be helping me eat these potatoes, I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of rosemary. Now it's fresh rosemary, fresh garlic. If you have to substitute or need to substitute, then you can do that. If you have to use garlic powder. Now it's not going to be as good. It's just not. It's just the fresh stuff added to the potatoes. It just makes a big difference. But if you don't have them, you can't get them for whatever reason, then use what you have, and it does still add some really nice seasoning and really yummy flavor to your potatoes. We have about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a good olive oil, and 1 teaspoon of salt, kosher salt, and a half a teaspoon of freshly cracked pepper. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, we're just going to chop up our potatoes, and I'm going to cut them into about a 1-inch slice or chunk. And I really need to sharpen my knife before I end up cutting myself. So, and once you get them cut up, you can just go ahead and add them right into your dish. This is a 9 by 13 baking dish right here. Had that since my precious little children were little. It's kind of weird, the things you remember. All right. And if you get your, I'm not very good at getting all my pieces the same size and all like that. And but if you can try to get them as much the same size as you can. Don't fret over it. But they just cook more evenly. And I just slide my knife right up underneath them like that and scoop them right over into the pan. Now I do have my oven heating up to 400 degrees. You know, one thing about my videos that some people may like, some people may not, is I try to, when I do something, like when I teach a recipe or I teach how to build something, I try to simplify it as much as possible so that people that already understand certain things or they have experience cooking, they can fast forward through to whatever part they want to see. And for those people that may be learning for the first time, to be able to see step by step and to be able to really understand it and to feel good about the recipe and feel that they can turn around and replicate it. Because once upon a time, I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to do much of anything. Oh, I didn't even know how to wash clothes when I left home. And no, I was not born privileged or into a wealthy family with a maid or anything like that. Mama she just did it all. Bless her heart. In just a few days, it's going to be 2 years since she passed away. And she is definitely in a better place. I don't know why I just shared that with y'all. I guess because she's just really been on my mind lately. See, now these potatoes are a little bit smaller, so I just kind of change up the way I'm cutting them. Now that one is kind of thick, but we're just gonna go with it. There we go. All right. All right, so there we have our potatoes. See there? All cut up in our pan. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut up my rosemary. And you see with my knife, my chef's knife, you just put your hand right here, fingers up. You don't want to get them in the way. And you hold the point down, and then you can just move the knife like that. Up and down, back and forth until you get it nicely chopped up. Till you get it nice and fine. If you have any feeling about rosemary in the way of that you just don't care about it, my husband genuinely does not like rosemary. And he loves these potatoes. All right, now when you have a clove of garlic, if you just put it down on your board, put your knife nice and flat, make sure the pointed side is away from you, and be very careful with your fist. Just give it a whack, and it takes the skin right off of your garlic, just like that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Just beautiful. Now see, for some people, this may be a lot of garlic. We love garlic. I love garlic so much that I have some that are sitting in a apple cider vinegar and honey. I'll have to get them and show it to you in a minute. And it's a medicinal thing. If you take it, and every day it helps fight against illness, against germs and things like that. Garlic, onions, that stuff is like Really, really good for fighting bugs that are trying to creep in and make you sick. My parents were always big on, they'd start feeling a little sick, they would eat an onion sandwich. Now, I love onions. I don't think I can do that. But I don't know. I've never tried it, so maybe I could. Because I do love onions. They don't always love me so good. But I do love them. All right, now once again, you see here, with the garlic, chop, 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 just like that. Scrape it off. Always be super, super careful with that edge. And now, y'all, we are just going to put this right over here. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Gonna add our rosemary. Gonna add our rosemary in there. And then we're going to add our garlic. Just like that. Got a nice big spoon there, because when I put that oil in there, it's gonna won't be quite as easy to move the garlic and the rosemary all around. So I'm going to give it a little toss with all that lovely rosemary and garlic. And now we're going to add the 1 teaspoon salt, ½ teaspoon pepper. Just sprinkle it over the top. Once again, if you want less pepper, you can do that. My husband loves pepper, so I'm going to add a lot of pepper in there, and then we're going to add, just drizzle the olive oil. Where'd my spoon go? And now we're just going to toss it all around. You want to make sure your potatoes are well coated with the oil and all the seasonings. Now you don't want to put too much oil in here. If you feel like you need to put another little tickle, you can. But if you really toss it around, that oil will coat them all. And that way it'll help them to cook. It gives a wonderful flavor, that olive oil, especially if you have a good olive oil, y'all, and that you really like. And just toss them all around there. See, they're nice and shiny, so you know they're well coated with the oil. And then I'm just going to spread them out. There you go. I probably could have used a little bit bigger pan just to have a flat layer of potatoes. You can always do that, and then you'll get more of a sear or that roasted yumminess on top. But I think we are going to be okay, just like that. Okay. All right, so now we're going to cover it with aluminum foil. Stick it in your preheated 400-degree oven, and we're going to let it bake for 40 minutes. Okay, here we go. Now once the 40 minutes is up, you'll uncover your potatoes, stir them all around, kind of get them mixed back in, the oils that have, kind of fallen to the bottom, stir it back up, and then spread it back out, and then take a fork and just one of the bigger potatoes, fork it to see how tender it is. Because that is going to determine how much longer you want it to cook. Now, for mine, typically, I will put mine, once I uncover my potatoes, I'll put them back in there and I'll leave them uncovered for about 10 more minutes and let them bake and continue to cook the rest of the way, and also to let that browning begin. That hot oven on those potatoes begin to brown. Now, once that 10 minutes is up, you can test them at that point. If they're really soft, you don't want to keep baking them. So then you can stick them under a broiler. If they're not brown enough for you, you can stick them under the broiler. You can give them a little bit more. The browning that it brings out this wonderful flavor. Get your broiler on high because you just want to crisp it up, and keep a really close eye out, and then you can pull it out, let it cool a little bit, and then we're going to give it a little taste. Putting it under the broiler, you do not have to do. That's just an added thing that you can do to get a little more brown crispiness to your potatoes, but it is not a requirement for these potatoes to be super yummy and good. Because if you do put them under the broiler, they should be done at that point. There you go. Now I did put mine under the broiler. I didn't keep track. It's probably about 3 minutes. I just kept peeking at them to see where they were. I just like to toss it around to once again just distribute that oil everywhere. And they are just yummy goodness, y'all. Now I'm going to let these cool a little bit before I have a taste of them. But I can tell you, Andrew came in the house a while ago. And the smell of these as they're cooking, I mean, it's just like, it is heavenly, y'all. Your family is going to absolutely love it. If you have any questions or comments, please be sure and leave them in the comment section below. I love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this video, guys, give us a big old thumbs up. We really would appreciate it. Now, if you enjoy recipes from scratch, we also have a website, simplymadehomestead.com. There's a link in the description box below if you'd like to check it out. There are printable recipes from scratch there. The quail cage build is there with the instructions that you can print out. There's some really, really good information, y'all. So check it out. We'd love to have you over there too. Till next time, take care and God bless.